that you don't have to compromise yourself in order to get a part.
Welcome back to Faith's Place, the podcast where dreamers have the liberty to dream. I'm your host, Phaedra, and I am so excited that we have this time to dream together. I know we heard it before, but representation matters, especially when it comes to the portrayal of Black women on television. Today's guest knows what it means to blaze new trails, redefine an image, and set the standard for generations to come. From her starring role in Good Times to her best-selling books, BernNadette Stanis is a true example of what can happen when we dream big and have the courage to pursue them. Thank you for stopping by Faith's Place, Miss Stanis. How are you?
Welcome, Phaedra. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Take us back to 5-year-old BernNadette living in New York. What does she dream of becoming?
To tell you the truth, I really didn't dream of becoming very much, maybe a dancer, because my grandmother put me in dance class at 5, and I love dancing. Everywhere I would go, she would take me, and if I heard music, I was dancing. So a friend of hers, he said, "That's a dancing gal." And so she decided to put me in dancing class. So I guess I wanted to be a dancer. But back in those days, they had something called romper room.
I've heard it.
And then they had all these kids on television. I think it was Romper Room that had the children. And all these kids were on television. And I always said, how did they get on there? I was only 5. How did they get on there? I say, Mommy, I want to be on that. My mommy said, yes, okay, we're working on, whatever. I never got on there. And then there was one called Romper Room. And the lady would have like a little mirror. And she would look at all the kids at the end of the program. And she would say, hi, Pam. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Brittany. Hi, Maisha. But she would never say Bernadette. Nobody had a name like Bernadette. She never called me, so I guess she couldn't see me.
That's so funny. That's how I felt too. Growing up, I watched Barney, and I used to be like, how come the kids was on Barney and I wasn't? I didn't understand.
Well, you can still get on television. You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now, I heard you originally planned to study psychology in college, and then you switched over to acting. And the funny thing is that's the same thing I did. I started in psychology and I switched to theater.
Oh, wow.
So what inspired this change for you?
Well, I always knew that psychology was going to be my thing. Fortunately, I got into Juilliard for acting, so I didn't have to do the psychology thing. But then when you think about it and you break your characters down, you still need psychology, right? Because you gotta understand that character, right? So in a way, it kind of all blend together. Because I remember sitting on the subway in New York at the age of 12, and I was reading Sigmund Freud at 12.
Okay.
So I knew I wanted psychology.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, after being discovered on Miss Black America Teen Pageant, you landed the role of Thelma, moved away from home, and suddenly you find yourself immersed into this new world of entertainment. Was that a huge culture shock for you?
Actually, it really wasn't. The thing that shocked me most was that everybody moved very slowly.
Okay.
Like when I was in the supermarkets, everybody was taking their time. They were saying hello. They were having conversation. I'm like, this is not New York. This is not New York. And that used to bug me. That did bug me. So that was a culture shock. The other culture shock was the fact that I didn't know how to drive. So I had to learn how to drive, okay? Other than that, being in Hollywood was really no real big difference for me because being in Brownsville, growing up in Brownsville, we were always trained and taught by my parents that what's around you does not have to be in you. And they guided us along the way, put us in acting, put us in dance, put us in music. My brothers were in music. And so, we were kind of always geared to the entertainment thing because of my mom. They did a lot of commercials. My brothers, they were they were in this Metropolitan Opera doing Aida. Did they tell you that?
No, they
They
did
did the opera
not.
Aida. They were the
Oh.
guys. They did it every for about 2 or 3 years. So I'm saying we were geared in that way. But when I got to Hollywood, I knew that I had an obligation to stay straight and take care of my family and make sure they get out of the projects, and my brothers and sisters would be educated. So I also had like a responsibility to that. So the stuff that was going on in the outside of Hollywood really didn't matter to me. I just had a goal I had to meet, and I was going to meet it. Plus, I wasn't invited to a lot of this stuff because I never did any of that stuff.
Mm,
Well, stuff.
okay. Okay, now I know what you mean. No, that's very true. That's so funny because that goes into my next question. Something very unique happened with you. You had the privilege of designing your own character. And the
Yes.
first time America was introduced to a black teenage girl and revel in such a brilliant and beautiful wedding was through your role as Thelma.
Yes.
Being the first is tough. So, did you find it challenging trying to uphold a perfect image?
Well, I didn't want her perfect. She wasn't perfect. She couldn't cook. Okay. She couldn't even boil water. All right. But so she wasn't perfect, but I tried to fashion Thelma very much like who Bernadette was. It wasn't quite the same. I think Thelma was a little bit more optimistic in the world because I had to live in New York, you know. So she was
Right.
optimistic, and I didn't worry about her being in Chicago because I realized that I had to portray something positive for the young girls out there. And the reason why I fashioned the character that way was because I had a wonderful star actor, Esther Roll. She was the star of the show, and she was wonderful. She was for the show. She was for the actors. She was for the movement. As she would tell you, she was the one who brought the father, a father, to America. And so for me, I went to her and I said, "Mom, I'm not doing a lot of work. I'm getting bored." She said, "What?" I said, "Yes." I said, "All I do is come in and say, 'Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Shut up, JJ. I'm back in the bathroom putting on makeup. Remember?'" Well,
JJ
anyway,
the fool.
yes, JJ, you shut up, you fool. And then she said, "Well, okay, let me handle it." And she went in and she fought for me. She said to the producers and the writers, she said, "I want to ask a question." And they said, "What is it?" She said, "I want to know if you are ashamed of my daughter." And they said, "No, we're not ashamed of your daughter." So she said, "Well, I want her to have more to say. My son JJ has a lot to say. My son Michael has a lot to say. And I want my daughter to have a voice for the young women also." And they said, "Certainly." So she told me to go up to that office and talk to the producers and the writers and tell them who Thelma is, because she knew that I knew who she was.
Right. Oh, and that is such a blessing to have people there advocating for you.
Yes.
And I think about, we can look back at Good Times now and just say, what do you mean there was never a black teenage girl on television? But you guys really paved the way. And
Yeah, I was the
on behalf of
first.
everybody, thank you.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. I was the first Black female teenager ever on television. Isn't that something? And
That's
Esther was
amazing.
the one who introduced America to a father. Nowhere across this country did they have a father figure, a Black father
Right.
figure, not a positive one.
Right,
So she
amazing.
did that.
So
So we were
let's
the
talk to
first.
some of our fellow actors out there. Personally, I've always wondered about the amount of time actors had to learn their lines and blocking. I know we spoke about it a little bit, but let everybody know, what is that process like? Do you have to stay home all week and just learn your lines? How did that go?
No, we have it all broken down. We would come in on Fridays and read the script for the next week. We would go home and study for the whole weekend. On Mondays, we would come in and we would block it, put the director would stage us. We had our books in our hand. Tuesday, books are off. No books. Got to know all the lines because we have run through for the producers, the writers, the everyone, and the wardrobe. And so we would do the show and then they would take notes. What didn't work, they would cut out. What needed to be added, they would rewrite. And so on Wednesday, that was Tuesday. On Wednesday, we would go down to the set, and they would build the set of the show, and the cameramen and the microphone men were there, and we had to block. We had to do the show for them, so they'll know where the cameras are, where the booms are, and then we would have a full run through. Okay, that's for the cameras, the boom, the wardrobe, and the lines, the actors, and all. Now, after that, Thursday we would come in later because Thursday was the tape night. And we would end up taping two shows, the same show twice, one at 5 in front of a 250 person audience, and then also one at 8. After dinner, we go back and do the same show at 8 o'clock for another 250 people. So it was a live audience, just like a play.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good. So you had some experience because you did theater.
Yeah, I did theater,
So,
and I had studied at Juilliard, so of course I knew a lot of the stuff. But what they would, the reason why they would do two shows is because they would go into editing and splice and put the two shows together as
I
one.
love it. Now, we did get a chance to talk a little bit about it, but you were extremely close to Esther Roll. What is something you learned from her that still carries you today?
Being on time,
Yes.
being on time. Yeah, she used to pick me up to go to work, and I was late. And she would say, "I'm gonna leave you if you're late." And I'm like, "No, Mom, I know you're not gonna leave me." The next day, I was trying so hard to get downstairs, and I missed it by 5 minutes, and she left me.
No.
Yeah, I was supposed to be to work. I was supposed to be to work at we were supposed to be to work at 10. At 10, I didn't get there till 2. Well, they didn't have cabs and all that stuff back then.
No Uber.
Uber what? We couldn't get a friend to drive us. It was terrible. I was almost getting ready to walk. But anyway, I finally got a cab, and he did take me there, and it was like awful. I looked at Esther when I got in there, and she looked at me like, I told you. She got me straight. She said, "You are a professional and you must be on time. That you're not in high school. This is not that kind of thing." I said, "Oh, I understand now." And a
Oh,
lot of my stories, you can tell them, a lot of my stories are in my book.
yes.
And they can get my book, Good Times, Ain't We Lucky We Got 'Em. It's my memoir, and it's at my website, thelmaofgoodtimes.com. So if you guys want to get the book, you can get it. I autograph it for you and everything.
Yes, and I have read it, and it is so amazing. She gives you all the tea, everybody, just everything you ever want to
I
know.
do.
And then at the end, she answers some questions. So you got to find out if your questions are answered by picking up that book.
Yeah.
So you
And I put a
definitely want to do
script in
that.
there. I put a script at the back. Yeah.
Yes, you
When Thelma
do.
moves out. When Thelma moves out.
Hey, which is so good. We're on the same page because I was about to say you're not only an actress, you're an artist and an author. You seek to help your readers overcome self esteem and insecurity issues that show up in toxic relationships. What inspired you to embark on this endeavor?
What, the relationship one?
Yes.
Or the
Or,
book?
well, the book in general. You
Just
can also
writing
talk.
books?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was on the show. I in the third year of the show, I got something called nodules, and I had to get an operation on that. And because of that, I couldn't speak for a long time. So I realized that sometimes we have obstacles that come into our lives, and we have to understand that God might be doing something. He might be doing something for you, so you always have to ask him, well, what is the lesson in this, or what should I learn from this? And I did, and it was like to be quiet, because when I was quiet, I learned that poetry, I felt like poetry started coming to me, because I was quiet. And so I have time to write poetry. And that's how my writing really developed. And then I started writing short stories and things like that. So actually, God was setting me up for another career while I was on Good Times.
Won't he do it, as the people say?
Yes.
Now, what advice would you give to up and coming and aspiring artists and actors?
Okay. I would give the advice that to really understand your career, understand your craft. If it's acting, you must take acting classes because it's a skill. It's nothing more than learning how to dig inside and get the emotions and things like that. So all of it's a skill so that you can repeat the same emotion over and over and over. A lot of people think, oh, that's so easy. I can. No, we're here to make it easy. It's not easy. So I would say if you want to be an actor, an actress, learn your skill. Learn how you find your character. Study all those things. And realize that you're bringing something to the world. That's your acting or your career, whatever you want to call it, your skills, and that you don't have to compromise yourself in order to get a part.
Amen. Say that again for the people. Say it
You,
again for the people.
you don't have to compromise yourself to get a part.
Uh, amen. Just amen. That is.
Amen. Yeah. Yeah, because, really, you don't.
Because people do anything. And I've always said, I don't want it that bad.
Right. And especially if you're talented and you've learned the skill and stuff, you don't really have to do that, because some way, somehow you will rise, you will be seen, you will come into your own. I
That's
do
right.
believe that. And I do believe that if you have the talent and you have the skills, you're going to make it.
I agree. I agree. And going back to what you said, that acting is not easy. So when I switched, I was like, I'm going to do theater. I'm going to get straight A's. Everything is going to be grand. And I said, what did I get myself into here?
You have to do speech. You have to learn how to speak certain ways and enunciate so that everybody can understand what you're saying. Even if you're crying and you're emotional, you still have to know how to get your words out. A lot of
Exactly.
people don't do that.
No, they don't. And then also, I went to a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution. So, someone from my culture going somewhere where you don't see people that look like you have to learn a whole nother different culture on top of the things you knew. So, going into theater, I knew Good Times and the Jeffersons and August Wilson, but were we learning that? Absolutely not.
Well, you have to look at it like this. When you go into an institution, white or black or whatever, for a skill, you have to know that they are going to teach you to speak neutrally.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to let go of all your dialects. And I mean, we had a lot of white people, we had black people, and everybody came from different regions. So everybody had an affectation to their sound. Like if you're from the South, you sound Southern. If you're from New York, you sound, hey, blood.
Yeah.
Blood. And so
What's up, y'all?
hey, you all, and and so they they get all that out of you, baby. They get all that out of you. And of course, I had to change too. They teach you to lift your tongue, say not cup, but cup.
Right.
So you have to learn these things so that you can enunciate your character's words and everybody can understand it. It's neutral. So that's a lot of work.
Yes. It's a lot of work.
You have to
And then,
structure your body a certain way,
yes.
and it has to be neutral so that if your character has a limp, it's not the way you walk plus the limp. No,
Right.
you have. So, I mean, it's a lot of work. Don't let them fool you, baby.
Don't let them fool you at all. Oh my gosh. And then we had an assignment where we couldn't say anything at all, and we had to tell this whole story. So you have to learn how to move your body to tell a
Mime.
story. Yes.
Mime.
Mime.
Then you have to pretend you have to pretend that you are an animal.
Yeah. You did that too? Yes.
You have to pretend
Yes.
that you're an animal, and they have to believe that you're an animal. So I mean, it takes you out of your body. It takes you into not being shy. It does all those things. So people don't realize that those skills, doing all those exercises really do help.
They help, and it's not only in the creative world. I mean, like you said, you learn communication, you learn how to work well with others, you learn timing and how to be prompt because of theater. It's a discipline, and it can help you in whatever career you decide to get into.
Yes, it can. Yes.
With me, with my degree, I did a bachelor's of arts. So we had to not only learn our lines and learn acting, but we had a chance to do the costume shop. So we
Oh,
learned how to
wow.
sew, and
Yeah.
then we
And
did
do the makeup,
scenery and do
the makeup for
makeup.
stage.
Exactly, and do your exactly the makeup for stage. That's something totally different. And then yeah, I did a lot of the scene work. So I was working in a scene shop.
Oh,
So
that's
we
great.
literally had to build things,
Oh,
literally
that's
build
good.
things and paint. And I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to break a nail.
Nails gotta go.
I was like, I will paint whatever I have to do. Let me paint.
Right.
No, but it was fun. So I'm so excited that you are bringing this up to my audience because a lot of people just think it's easy, but it's not.
No.
It's not at
Not
all.
if you want to stay in the business long term. Yeah.
Right.
Because you
Exactly.
want to be able to do different styles of your character, different characters. You want to be able to do that. Because now I'm on the show, The Family Business, and I play the character Nene Duncan. Now,
Yes.
she's quite different than a Thelma.
She knows how to cook, okay?
Indeed. After all these years, she should. I'm an
That's
aunt now.
exactly. That's so funny. Now, how do you stay motivated, in this field? Because it can be a cutthroat industry and sometimes you don't get all the parts that you want. What is something that you do to just stay positive?
Well, I had to realize that it's very difficult in this world. It's very difficult in this entertainment world. It's very difficult to get a number one television show. I was very, very fortunate to come into the business with the number one top show. Now, that brings its challenges as well. So I didn't, have to really worry too much about being famous because that show did that for me. But okay, that's the other side of that is you are Thelma on every part that you play. Whether they like it or not, they see Thelma. So that's going to take you down a little bit in that you're not going to get a lot of parts that you can do unless it's totally different than what it is. But and for television, they usually look at you like, oh, that's Thelma, that's Thelma. And Thelma at that time was such a big character that it would overshadow the story or this and that. So a lot of times you can't get those parts. So what I did was I went back to theater. You see, because
Okay.
now there's no discrimination in that.
Right.
You can be a character, you can put on the different characters, and they just love you for being a character. So that's why I went back there, and that saved me for many years being in theater. I was in theater for like 20 something years. So that's what I did. Then, and as I matured, my look was different. And so it was very easy for me to be in another show called The Family Business because I look okay, but I don't look like Thelma. I look like a grown up Thelma, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it changed. Yeah. So that's the upside that I was very fortunate to come into my career having fame and all, and then the downside is that you have to eventually go to theater because television they only see Thelma.
Yeah, you never think about that. So I'm happy that you did bring that up. Um, Another thing that I'm very interested in, I don't know if you watch Matlock on CBS, but
But I have.
okay, I'm totally obsessed with that show. And
That's it.
I love it. It's a new one.
Oh, new one. I don't look at the new one.
Yeah, it's a new one with Kathy Bates. And
Oh yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
the reason why I love that is because she's a 70-year-old woman who is going back, achieving her dreams. And we don't really
Oh,
see a lot of female leads of a certain age. And so
that's
I
right.
love the fact that we have this opportunity to
Yes.
explore that. I think it's
Absolutely.
important.
I think it's very important because these days our age is a little different than it was even 20, 30 years ago. When you were 40 or 50, you were middle age. If you were 60, you were old. So I'm saying that now, I guess I'm considered as an older person, but I'm still vital. I'm still doing, and it's a
Right.
different world. It's like the 70s are the 50s, the 50s are the 30s. It's gone backwards. So in that way, I'm very happy about that.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. And so we hope to have more shows that will have a female lead of any age, but most definitely 40 and up. I would love to see that because
I love that because I understand that you are a fantastic writer and that you're writing a sitcom now, and I hope that it takes off for you.
thank
And
you.
from what you told me, it's going to be good. You
Ooh,
you you are focused on women that age. So
thank you.
God
Yes.
bless you and success to you.
Thank you. Well, y'all heard it here first.
And I hope you're the next Shonda Rhimes.
Oh, well, thank you. I would love that. I love that. I love that. Well, before we get off, what are some things that you are currently dreaming of? What are some dreams that you hope to achieve?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm going to do more of my art. I am a painter, and JJ was supposed to be the painter, but he can't paint. But anyway, I am a painter. I'm going to do more of my painting. I still dance, so I'm going to continue with that. You guys will see more of me doing that. Let me see. I also I just opened a business, a dental business, believe it or not.
That's amazing.
I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did. My daughter, she married a dentist, and we opened a business. He's, the dentist, and we opened a business. Also, she's going to be. She's in residency now, and she's going to eventually have her own spa and her own medical type of thing. So that's a business that will, I guess generational.
That's going
I
to be
have to help
great.
them too. Yeah.
Yes. Well, talk about now we know Thelma the actress, BernNadette Stanis the actress, but talk a little bit about being a mom and a grandma and all those
Oh,
things.
I'm just like every other mom, every other grandmother. They don't have any concept. I mean, my daughters do now, but when they were little, they didn't either. It's like, "Oh, your mommy, that's it." And I remember when they first found out that I was on Good Times. Good Times was playing, and both of them the same way. I was sleeping because I sleep with my girls. I sleep them. They sleep with me. Come and cuddle up. And then Good Times was on, and they heard my voice. And they go, Mom. uh, Brittany was 5. I think Dior was about 7. She really realized it. Or maybe younger, I don't know. And so my grandbabies, I have a granddaughter, Leto. She's 10. So she grew up, her mom told her and showed her the show. So that's how she found out. And the other one is only 18, 19 months. She has no concept. You think something. She is the star of this show. She puts her hands on her hips and she talks. I'm like, what
I
are
love
you
it.
doing?
Love it.
So, we have yet to see. We
She
have
might be
yet
the
to
next
see.
actress.
Uh-huh. Yes, I
Yep.
have a goddaughter, my Isha. She comes
Mm-hmm.
over and helps me with all my stuff.
Nice.
Yes, I adopted her as an adult.
Oh. Oh, I love it. I
She's a
love
beautiful
it.
girl, and she calls me mom too, and she
Mm-hmm.
comes over and helps me with my media, my social medias and stuff like that, because that's what she's into. So, I have extended kids too.
Yes, and I love that you're giving back. That is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
It's
And of course
wonderful.
of course all my nieces and nephews,
Yes,
I've got all of them,
all of them.
There's a lot of them. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
that's great. Well, thank you for stopping by Faye's Place. You are welcome back
All
anytime.
right. Faye's Place.
Yes, yes. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode and what we're doing here on Faye's Place, be sure to give us a great rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Tune in next Monday with another episode with you in mind. I love you all for listening. Hi, friends, it's Phaedra, and you are listening to Faye's Place. Join us each week as we talk to industry insiders about their journey and what it takes to turn dreams into a reality. Whether you aspire to be in the entertainment field or just inspired by the hustle, count this as your backstage pass. Join us every Monday for a brand new episode. And also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at FaZe Place.